Welcome everybody to the live stream. Today we'll be having tea talk type of day. Um, I'm gonna be having it with my good friends Polyman, Mello, and a newcomer. Let me see if I remember his name. Baron Gaming. We're all going to be sitting here. This is going to be a thing every Tuesdays and Thursdays, but since this is the first day of it, we're doing it this Friday. And then I'm gonna go by my schedule that I just made up today. I've been working on a lot of things, as you see when it came to the stream and everything. I am currently trying to work on a lot of things with the stream, make sure it looks more like a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer and whatnot. But we're about to start the stream. I'm not gonna wait until the 5 minutes. But today, kind of the discussion is going to be on what people think about when it comes to immediate marriage and long term relationships. That's kind of what the goal is, and kind of what I have set for today. And we're gonna see other people's opinions. And if you have anything to say in chat or any opinions in chat, you can put it in chat. During the whole discussion, I will either be dropping the people in question. I mean, the people who's going to be in the discussions. Uh, Twitch, go check it out. They're really nice people. They're really good people. They stream really good content. Most of them stream every day. Um, so join that. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the stream today. This is something that's going to mean a lot to me. So let me bring them in, and then we'll get this started.
Yes.
All right, guys. So here I have a main man, Polyman. If you'd like to introduce yourself, or Mello, if you would like to introduce yourself first.
You want to go first, Mello?
Oh gosh.
All right. So I'm Polyman. Um, ex-pro gamer was my title back in the day. I have been streaming for about a little more than 3 years now. And back in 2014 was my heyday, as I call it, when I used to play Black Ops 2 competitively. And that year I won 8K just by playing Call of Duty. And I'm just a goofy ass guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. That's about it.
Okay, so yeah, that's Polyman. Mello, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Mello. I'm a single mom of two. Um, I game way too much than I should. And I'm from Arizona.
Okay, and Baron, I think he's having technical difficulties right now. Yeah. So it's kind of going to be. Let me see if I can get Baron. Baron, can you hear me? Oh, he's having technical difficulties right now. If we need to, we can kind of move it around. But so this is the group we're with. As y'all know, I'm reality. I've been kind of on and off lately. I am a Morehouse. I'm a Morehouse student. So I'm a man of Morehouse. I'm in the Navy. Part-time streamer. So, you know, that's me. This is a passion for me. I'm going to start doing these little talk things a lot more, because that is something that I am very passionate in doing too. So yeah, we're going to get this. Give us like a split second so I can get this worked out real quick. All right, so we're gonna get started with the discussion. Not hold anybody. So again, like I was saying earlier, this discussion will be about, or this little tea talk, today's tea talk will be about the difference between a long term relationship and and instant marriage, and what we think on that. So, this isn't going to be a formal thing. Just sit back, uh, enjoy some tea, eat your popcorn, whatever, and just continue to go on and flow naturally. So, yeah, Mello, what's your like take on that? What's your take on having a long term relationship, or like instant marriage? What do you feel about?
So, personally, I've done both.
Okay.
Um, it's embarrassing. I know I said it was embarrassing. I've been married twice, but I don't know. I guess I've gotten a lot of experience. Um, but the married quickly was probably the worst. Like I was with somebody for 6 months and decided for a fun weekend we should go, or like a fun. It should never be like a fun date to go get married at the courthouse. That's just the dumbest thing. But I don't think I don't think it's bad for everybody. Like if some people just click right off the bat, and I don't know. The whole I have like such a tainted view on it. I also think people should probably live together first before marriage. I know you kind of get like the worst out of people when you live together. So even if you moved in like a week after knowing each other, I think that's where you really need to get your experience. If you've been living apart for 5 years and then get married, it could be just as bad as getting married after 5 months.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And again, anybody could jump in. Like I said, this isn't like some very extremely formal thing. This is more of just like, a discussion between a group of friends type of deal. Um, and so just go at it. And I understand this is the first one, so it's going to be a little rocky. But, I feel that, you always know it's like if somebody's right for you. You know what I mean? Uh, like there's times where you'll do something dumb and you'll think some like one thing I've always learned is like there are people that you think that you know is right for you, and there are people that you know that is right for you. And when you know that somebody is right for you and everything, you know, and like you'll know instantly that you know you want to be with that person. So I feel like you know long-term dating in the sense is kind of finicky, especially when you think about history when you know our grandparents or great grandparents probably did not do a long-term dating. They got married uh like immediately, and that's how it was back in the day. But and you can't really say nobody didn't love each other. Like my great grandparents, they loved each other to death, but they didn't do no long term dating to find out that they loved each other. They got married, lived together, and like you said, you it does take living together because you'll never know how a person is until you live together. So I thought that that was something um, that you know you'll find out when you're with somebody if you want to be with them and if that is who you want to be with. And long-term dating shouldn't dictate that, if that makes sense. I mean, what you think, Polly man? I mean, either y'all could interject and jump in. Again, I really don't want it to be like a just like me talking or just mellow talking, or you know, you jump in anytime and uh go for based off of that.
So I agree with a lot of points you have there, reality, with if you know the if you think you know versus you know. You know what I mean? It's like if you know someone's right for you and someone is that person, you wanna like go with the flow, like you don't wanna hold back to that person because the more you hold back, the more you basically like don't give in more to that person, the less attracted A and B, it's gonna be just like one of those relationships where it's one and done. You
You're
wanna,
saying, are you saying like the other party could get bored or not think that you're giving enough if you hold back?
yeah,
Okay.
and it's just you wanna give it your all, like show your true colors to that person so they know what you're expecting. Like with me, it's always been I show that person from day one who I really am, and if they accept it, they accept it. They don't, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, but then you get into like scenarios where a lot of it's so hard to trust people sometimes because like you never know if that person's giving you their all or their I mean,
I agree with that.
yeah, like one of the reasons why it took a while to get married on my second one is because like it did feel deep down like I don't know this person well enough, or do I? Like I don't know. Waiting could be kind of a make or break. I get that. Just like going off the rails quickly could be a make or break.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like, and I feel like especially when it comes to, you know, actually, because one thing my mom always told me is that you don't like people change every 5 years, right? Like somebody's personality, there's something about a person that always changes every 5 years. So, you know, you will never know how a person truly is until you actually live with them. Like people put on facades all the time. Like, you know, when you go out, you or when you see somebody's parents or when you go to a job interview, you know, you carry yourself in different manners than you do at home. So, you know, that's where the discussion on living together is like r- really showing how a person truly is. And that's why when you really think about it, It's just the fact that when you really live together and when you really are, and like truly live together, I mean, not like, you're there every once in a while and you leave and you're like, and you be like, oh, it feels like I live together with this person. Like when you,
Not just overnights. Yeah.
yeah, like when you truly live with that person, see that person 24/7, that's when you find out if this person is right for me. If I could see myself living with this person 24/7 throughout the day and can have kids with them and understand them. And that's kind of like where I get from it.
And like compromise, as far as like when you're living in separate places, like there's a lot of things you don't have to compromise. So you really see how much that person's willing to give when it comes to like sharing a space. Like if you were to move into with somebody and then they're like, oh, you can't touch any of my stuff. You have to, this is your like fucking drawer and that's all. Like that could be big that you would have never known if you didn't live with each other.
Yeah, like I use some experience, right? And this is kind of where tea time comes into play. So my fiance, right? We had thought that, we were right for each other, that, everything was, going to be good because, we've stayed together for a while before. But we never truly lived together. And and I see you, Blue Gaming. Thank you for joining into the stream. Uh, and thank you for the follow. Sorry, but like I was saying though, um, we thought that we were right for each other, and I had put my all in the relationship, but then when I found out that we have so much that are not in common with each other, and that down the line we're probably not going to be happy together, and that we have a lot of shit that we need to work on together and separately, it got to a point where it was just like, yeah, we've been dating for a while, but is hopping into the relationship, like, are we right for each other? Is what we did the right thing? And no, it wasn't. I feel like we were more of friends than anything else. So, well, friends for benefits if we really want to get into that. But yeah, I mean, literally anybody else could jump in, like, on their just experience. I know, Mello, you say you've been married twice, right?
Right.
So like, I really don't want to get deep into it because there's some stuff that you have to keep to yourself. But like, when you say, when you really think about it, right? Do you take those, what happened, as lessons? Like, do you just dwell on the fact that you fucked up?
Oh, definitely lessons learned.
Yeah. So like, when you really think about it, here's the reason why I don't really believe in long-term dating, because it's like, at least you've been through it with marriage. You understand marriage now. And you see how marriage is actually, like, is not supposed to be. You could date somebody for forever, but then when you get married, you will never get that time back. And so you could at least say, yes, I did this shit.
Right. And I mean, there's like a song lyric that comes to mind. It's I may not know what love is, but I sure know what love ain't.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Like, I know at this point what I am just not looking for in a long-term commitment. Like, and that actually has helped me out a lot with my current relationship because like I just there's no bullshit to put. I'm it's all on the table. Like there I don't like this is what I'm looking for. What are you looking for? And I guess for people who don't know, Polly is my significant other. But like it cuts out all the bullshit. It's like it's now it feels like I could fast track and not have doubts because I know more now.
Yeah, and like going off of what Melo's saying, there's times where either one of us are gonna have our lowest moments, And for the long term to succeed, it's like that saying that goes, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like, if you're there for that person, you should expect them to be there for you, because you know you're on the same wavelength and mindset, you know? It's if you're on that same level and you understand each other to a degree, you guys will basically, that communication later down in the line is going to be like butter, smooth as butter. You know, it's just number one thing for long-term communication, long-term relationships is communication, and just basically like getting used to the person's body language and mentality, and knowing like what is going to be best for them without changing who you are, in a sense.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and that's one thing that I feel like I really enjoy when I sit back and listen to you guys is just talking.
Be right
Just
back.
talking to you
One
guys.
second.
All right. Just talking to you guys and like understanding you guys a lot more. I've noticed that, you guys are very open and y'all don't try to change each other much,
Yep.
which, is really hard to find in a lot of relationships is like of somebody that doesn't try to change who you are. Somebody who doesn't like nowadays, especially with this generation, when you really sit back and think about it, there's a lot of times where people try to change who you are as a person and try to force you to be somebody that you're not. And that's what leads a lot of relationships in a bad place.
Oh, that's what, like, it can quickly go from like good to toxic
Yeah,
with somebody trying to, like, it's such a hard like internal struggle to, especially to not feel like you're the right person. Like, you know, this person's looking for somebody else and that it's not you. They're just trying to mold you into what they want. And that's, I mean, that's ultimately the demise of my most previous. I was married for or sorry, I wasn't married. I was with this guy for 8 years. So we were married for 5.
mhm,
Um, and like, yeah, it came to a point where I'm just like, well, I'm not the person you're looking for. I mean, he did some nasty things and I just don't think we were right from the get-go. And I think we tried pushing our limits. Like, we tried to make each other the right person when in reality, that's just never going to work.
right. And again, there's nothing wrong when a relationship doesn't work out. Like there's completely nothing wrong with it, right? But the thing that sucks the worst is when you try to force
Of course, yeah.
the relationship to work or try to force to stay with somebody who doesn't want to be with you. You run
Mm-hmm.
into that a whole lot, and you run into a problem where now, you know, you're dealing with stuff that is a problem. Like, then you start dealing with things where it's just like, oh, this person does not like me in this manner, or this is what I'm dealing with, but they can't understand because uh, they they never been through this. And
Right.
so, you run into that people, but it's just based off of how it's based off of you guys. Like there's no such thing as just like if you look in the chat, just like Blue said, don't get married too early or too fast. Like, but at the same time, don't get married too late because there's always a right moment to do things. If that makes sense. Like I'm not saying, basically what I'm saying is I'm not saying get married straight out the jump. Like
Everybody's different.
yeah, everybody's different, and when you feel like something is right for you, that you should do, and you should jump in when you feel like you should, and when you feel like it is right. So you know, you just do it when you want to. Actually, I don't know if Blue is actually in the call.
He's in the vocal. Yeah, it's you
Yeah,
can speak up.
and so Blue, if you actually want to hop in, you can. Um, but uh, but yeah, I see you. I see you in the chat, Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
I will mention one thing then. Sorry, real quick before we like get too far. Somebody on Polly's eyes said individuals can still change if they choose to. Like if maybe it's a flaw of their own that is not working in the relationship. I could see like it's not about changing the person, but if the I guess the individual changing is not a bad thing. Like that's not. I hope that kind of goes with that subject as he was trying to get at.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck, and I quote, fuck people trying to change each other. Like people can change. I don't think, I know that people can change, but it's about not making somebody change for what you want. But yeah, Blue, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good. I was wondering. I didn't know where you guys wanted me to necessarily jump in at.
Just
Get in there.
yeah, just get in there, share your opinions on it. I know I seen you in the chat. This is kind of a time, especially like with friends and everything, to really just jump in and hear their opinions and start to understand, all of us more, you know.
Um, I don't know. So my take on it is, I always believe that. I mean, kind of touching on a little bit what you guys were saying earlier. I always believe that a relationship has to be built on a friendship. I truly believe that like love at first sight is a real thing. You can like love somebody instantly, but and you can care about somebody instantly, but before you can commit to that person, I always feel like you have to learn that person. You have to know that you guys are going to be compatible. Just like what you were saying earlier, until you truly live with that person, that person. Because everybody's going to put on that, oh, I'm this perfect person. Everything in my life is amazing and all of that stuff. And then when you move in with somebody, you're like, well, this person is completely different than what I thought that they were. So, I mean, I always say, like, give it time. Of course, and I don't think anybody necessarily can tell you when the perfect time is. It's a feeling. You just get the feeling like, hey, this is right. This feels right for me. But I don't know. Marriage is such a permanent thing, and it's somebody that you have to be willing to grow with. Because just like you said, you feel a particular way today, and your feelings might be completely different tomorrow. And it's not even necessarily just that person. It's just we're all constantly changing and evolving. And we might want to end our marriage, our friendship, or our relationship on good terms. It doesn't have to be anything bad. Now, all of a sudden, I've decided in my life, I want to move in this direction. This is what I want to do with my life. And you're like, okay, but I'm still kind of leaning towards this way. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean we have to start bickering and fighting and arguing and, you know, throw blows at each other because you want to remain living here because you have roots and you love being here, and my job is now pulling me here because I've decided to now want to do this with my life. I mean, it just mutually did not work out at the time. And that's to say, not to say it can't work out later. We can't come back together and revisit this later, but people just change. Like, I don't know, it's so many variables. There's no one clear cut right answer for any situation ever.
Yeah, I felt that, and so I'm gonna use something, and I just saw one of my good friends to say that he doesn't think he's ready for marriage, right? You know, one thing I learned is not everything is not everything is for everybody. College ain't for everybody. Certain jobs ain't for everybody. Uh, you know, not everything is for everybody. And so when I see somebody say like, you're not ready for marriage, right? You don't think you'll ever be ready for marriage. That's something that you believe in and you should stay strong with. Don't let anybody change that in you. It's not something that, I personally don't believe in the way marriage is conducted, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's overrated.
Yeah. Like, I don't believe a piece of paper dictates how much I love a person. And so I see it as, I want to I see it as I want to be the person to, you know, always make sure that that person feels love and that that person feels it spiritually and not on a piece of paper that says, oh, you know, you have my last name and, you know, when we decide to ever get divorced, you get half of everything. Like that sounds very weird and messed up to me because that's not how marriage was back in the day, where it was just like, oh, when you get divorced, like you're having like a future plan of when you get divorced, everything goes to a certain person or half of everything goes to a certain person.
Let
So
me rephrase the underrated part. Marriage isn't underrated, but the ceremony with the church and the reception, that's overrated. Because at the
But
end of the day, you're
sorry, go on.
because
You're
that
gonna-
because spending all that money to showboat in front of like hundreds of people that, hey, we're getting married, and then you're in debt now because you spent all this money on marriage and the marriage doesn't work out. Now you're in debt. So if you find the right person and basically talk it out to where, hey, let's get married, but let's not do a big event. Let's bring close people in. But you decide on that marriage, like, okay, if we get married, like, if you work it out together, that you're not gonna, hey, if I leave you, I'm not gonna take half of your shit, or if I leave you, I take this kid, you know, like, if the person's right for you, like, talking it out and communicating what's to come in the marriage with all that stuff, if ever like any negativity type of stuff happens to where you need a divorce, straightening it out in the beginning, I feel like is the best method.
So like a spoken word prenuptial.
In a sense,
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day though, like doesn't everybody want to make like isn't that the dream to be like have everything figured out when you get married? Cuz
yeah.
that's the whole point is what you think, but like I don't know how much I've told you probably about like my wedding cuz you were going into weddings and debts and everything like that. I had made myself a $5,000 budget and I had like a gorgeous wedding with a sunset on a rooftop of a beach house in San Diego. Like close friends, tacos, build your own fucking tacos were the fucking meal. Like people gifted things like the cake and everything like that. So I mean, it was still the wrong person though. Like the marriage almost doesn't matter. Like the wedding and everything. I don't know. I can see people spending a shit ton because you do believe you're going to be with this person. You do want, some people do want their entire family, even if that's 100 people, to be there to celebrate that day. And when it comes to church too, that's kind of like saying like on God, this is the person for me. Like I'm not necessarily the religious type, but that's usually why people have it in a church. It's like before God, this is our fucking, the rest of our lives starting.
Yeah, and you know this, that I'm not your typical Armenian. Like my like if we were to get married, it's not going to be your typical Armenian style wedding where you spend basically $200,000 on a wedding. Yeah.
Okay, but your whole goddamn family better be there because I know you guys know how to dance.
Eh.
And I
I
want to
mean, you
dance.
saw my twerking moves in
oh
in
gosh,
Yeah.
oh gosh, oh gosh.
No, but on the down low, I can dance. Shanto, you're invited for sure.
Okay, okay, that's crazy. I
But
have to see
like,
some. I have to see you break out some dance moves one day.
bro, can you believe I could do the splits?
Oh gosh. Anyway, not to get off topic. um, but no. So like, I understand what you mean, Mello. Especially when it comes to you feel like you like to do this type of thing, and if humans as a collective, right? No matter who you are, likes to live things off of ceremony. You know, we have a ceremony for everything. Ceremony for graduation, ceremony for, you know, becoming a man or like becoming from a girl to a woman or from a boy to a man. We have ceremonies for birthdays, for, you know, giving out gifts to each other. we have ceremonies for everything, and that's just how humans are. So when it comes to marriage, when it comes to spending your life or planning on spending your life with another person for the rest of your life, that is something that people feel like this should be like the biggest ceremony of my life. So I understand when you say, people want to, like, I was planning on spending a whole lot of money when I was going to get married. But, you know, we're all built off of ceremony. We want to have the best memories and the best time, and that's why we spend thousands of dollars on something that only lasts for a couple hours. Or
Because in reality, you're celebrating something that's going to be decades.
yeah. So that's the reason why people do that. But is it the right thing? That's not for any of us to decide. I'm not really religious either. I'm very spiritual, and I like to go based off of other people, off of a lot of different religions. But like, you know, when it comes to finding the significant other, and based off of just your beliefs, like, you decide what you want to do in life, and you decide whether you want to do a big ceremony or you want to do a small one, or if you want to get married immediately or you want to sit down in a long distance relationship. That is up to you to decide. But just know that everything that you do has consequences. And consequences doesn't mean anything bad. Consequence is literally, there's an outcome to any of your actions. It could be either good or bad consequences. But yeah, Blue, you got anything else to add? You just been sitting over there quiet.
No, just taking it all in.
That's what she said.
No, but kind of to go, because I see Zoe's in the chat. Kind of going back to what he said up a little bit further up in the stream. Uh, when he said, she's worthy, but it's a scary thing. Marriage is an extremely scary thing, and not everybody is ready for that, or not everybody is ready for that commitment. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with not being ready, but you do run into a fact that you don't know what's going to happen when you do everything. You work your ass off by yourself, and then you run into a relationship, and you find out that this doesn't work out, or this might not be for me. Like, that's a scary thing. Like, moving from a relationship, moving from just like a basic boyfriend and girlfriend situation to now you're married and you're having this huge title. That's why I say being in person, like, and living together is a big difference as than if you weren't. If that makes sense.
I feel like part of the problem with marriage right now too is people that get married treat being married like being in a relationship, and it's supposed to be completely different. I feel like with everybody being so open now, the world period being so accepting, being so open to different ideas of what relationships mean and things like that, um it just gives us so many more options. But with those more options, um it just seems, again, to me, it seems like people treat marriage like a relationship. So if you start having a disagreement with a person and you guys aren't seeing eye to eye, well, fuck it, let's just break up. I don't want to deal with it, let's just break up. Well, we can get back together, let's just break up. So with marriage, I feel like that's not supposed to be an option. I feel like the person that you get married to is supposed to be like a brother or a sister or a parent, like an legit family member. You don't just say, well, I had a disagreement with my brother or my sister, so fuck it, we're not talking anymore, and I'm just not gonna deal with them anymore. They're gone. They're out of my life. Eventually, you guys come back together and you work it out, because it's like the old saying, blood is thicker than water. We're family now. And no matter how much we disagree or don't see eye to eye, we're going to eventually come back together and work this shit out. And the problem with marriage is that's the way that it's supposed to be. But since there's so many more options and stuff out there, they're like, oh, well, I just don't want to deal with it. Marriage is over. Let's get a divorce. I'm done. And I feel like marriage is work. It's a lot of work. And I feel like people don't want to take the time to commit to it and be dedicated to it the proper way. I feel like that's why a lot of marriages from like 40, 50 years ago, a lot of those people, like the elders, are like still married because they had that mindset of like, hey, if we're doing this, we're going all in and we're going to do it. And I feel like the word divorce doesn't get tossed up every other day. I feel like a lot of modern marriages is like, well, let's just get a divorce. Okay, well, never mind. Well, we get mad at each other again. Well, fuck it. I'll just get a divorce. And I mean, that's a word that's used so commonly and is thrown out so much because marriages now don't mean what they used to mean back then. To where, like I said, that word was not ever used. I mean, unless there was just like all other options have been exhausted. Like we've literally done everything that we can. Now we're to the point to where we're beating each other's asses and stuff like that, to where it's so toxic we absolutely have to be away from each other. It's like now you get into a disagreement and fuck it, let's just get a divorce then. I mean, it's too commonly used, and marriage does not hold the same weight and the same meaning that it used to. People don't want to take the actual time to try to fight and figure this thing out. And I feel like that also kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Know the person that you're deciding to get married with. And again, people's personalities change, people grow and become different people eventually. But again, with learning that person that you did previously, you have to realize this is somebody that I want to grow with
Hold
versus
on.
just, oh, I'm in love right now, talking to this person right now. We're enjoying each other's company right now. Hey, let's go get married. Like, I feel like it needs to be a really, really big decision when you decide to do that, to get married, because it's supposed to be, again, a forever thing. It's something that should not be taken lightly. And since we were having such a good time, we were screwing every other day. We were going out on really good dates. Um, we were just really enjoying each other's company. We were being rebellious against our families because they didn't want us to be with each other, but we were having such a good time. We decided to up and go and get married. And I feel like a lot of people get married for the wrong reasons as well.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but as a segue of what you're saying, like you started off saying about people are treating relationships or marriage like relationships, and people aren't staying together, they're breaking up. Like basically, like what you're saying is, I feel the same way. But however, relationships in modern day, have you ever heard of demisexual?
No.
A lot of people have not. Like demisexual, sociosexual, they're like they're real things. So the definition of demisexual is basically one who is connected with another one through their vibe and interactions and how they get along with one another, rather than like they actually want to vibe together, share the energy, and do things together, rather than just like, damn, that girl's fine, she's the best thing on earth, let me just get with her. So people are getting with people for the wrong reasons. Whether the difference is with a demisexual, we're actually getting to know that person is like on the inside. Like it goes deeper than just like parents, or just if they make you laugh. Like I feel like this whole demisexual vibe, guys, is like a whole new wave out here.
Yeah, I agree with you in that. Like the connection, like the vibe you're saying, like the emotional side of it.
It plays a big, humongous part in the long term relationship.
Yeah, and I personally feel that me and Mello kind of have that because our relationship is long distance, but our attraction started off with like spiritual and emotional first. So I do agree, like demisexual is a very like big thing.
It's real. It's very real.
Now I don't know if Mello agrees on that, but I do. No.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I
Yeah,
mean, back
We
to
were
what
forced to
Mello was
get to know each
saying.
other, yeah. Like instead of just physically.
And the person that hooked us up was actually a great friend of mine.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah, his name is Dad Dude Shanto.
He's in a stream right now. What were you saying, Zach?
I was saying like when I first joined, you were he was questioning you about your history and whatnot. Like I feel as if you've learned from your history and like you're not going to change for somebody else. Like you two have a long distance relationship, so things will be different once you guys are together 24/7, of course. But with this time apart, you're truly getting to know one another for what they are, and you'll have a stronger connection. So regardless if you do come together and say you have to have the bed made, but he's the last one to get out and he doesn't make the bed, you'll look over those little things because you know
Shower
him
curtain.
deeper. Yeah, like on the inside or outside, toilet paper, like those small things will not matter because you know him through and through.
It was
I don't.
just a shower curtain, probably.
Yeah.
Don't bring
I
it up.
don't. I don't think. I don't think. So that's the thing. I don't think you need to look past those. That's the thing. It has to be as in a whole. So you guys have found a phenomenal connection while you're away.
But what
That's
you mean you don't have to
amazing.
look past those
No,
things?
no,
Like
no.
what?
But I'm saying, they found a phenomenal connection with each other as they were apart. So that allowed them to be able to work on their connection, emotionally and all of that. But then you also have to take all that other stuff into play. Well, let's actually live together for a while because you are such a nice person. I mean, you're really nice. We talk very well when we do talk. But now that I'm actually with you and around you 24 hours, I can't stand some of the things that you do. Like it's everything needs to be brought together as a whole. It's it is the physical aspect of it. It's not just emotional or whatever. I mean, it's the sexual. Sex plays a huge part in any relationship. It's the physical. I want to know how you treat me not only when we're away and when we're just talking, but like you said, it's those little pet peeves. Are you gonna keep things clean the way that I want them to be cleaned? Are you gonna respect the fact that I want to put my shoes on top of the microwave? It sounds weird, but that's me. Are you okay with that? But you would never know that. We're not talking about that. But when you actually get around me, these are things that I do that you didn't have the opportunity, that we didn't necessarily talk about. So now we need to move into this new space of us actually being around each other. And clearly we see that we're compatible emotionally and we can talk to each other when we're at a distance. But now are we able to coincide with each other? It's like one of the issues with marriage is with a lot of people that work. You work for 30, 40 years and the majority of your day is away from your significant other. And then a lot of couples have to go after both parties decide that they're going to retire. And we have to reevaluate our relationship because now we need to know, are we still compatible to be around each other, 12 plus hours of the day? Even simple stuff like that. We've been married for the last 20 years, but now we have to figure out how our relationship works again because we're going to physically be around each other for more time.
But
And that
that's not
swings
something
back
you
to
should have to
compromise.
figure out though. Like when you get to that point, it should come natural what comes next. Like it's not something that you should have to think about or something like it's
Because you
not it's
learned it
not
over the
like
years.
right. It's not like well, all right, we got this far. How do we continue? Because if that's the case, that's just a partner. That's just a friendship. That's not a relationship. That's not
Now,
love.
now here's probably a big test in. I don't know if it's a test, but mine and Mello's relationship is this next trip that I'm gonna be out there is gonna be the longest one so far.
Just close the fucking shower curtain.
Yeah.
No,
So,
but okay, but no, back on like, but the shower curtain, like he said, like the making the bed or whatever, it was like the same thing. That's why you brought it up. It's not just a matter of like, this is how I want things done, and he can just look past that, or I can just look past that. It's like, I would also have to come to terms with like, if Polly just really didn't like closing the shower curtain, then
That's what
there's
I'm
got to be a
trying.
compromise. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. compromise.
But
But if it's bring it up to him. If it's an easy fix, he'll fix it. But it's a compromise.
Right.
yeah,
Just gotta look past the little shit to make shit work.
yeah, and kind of what I kind of want to say is like, you know, I feel like it's more about, you know, acceptance, if that makes sense. It's more
Right?
about
Yeah.
Mhm.
accepting that fact, like, you know, oh, this is like, because, you know, nobody's perfect, so everybody's gonna have a flaw here and there. So being able to be like, oh well, damn, they don't make the bed when they wake up. Well, okay, well then you got to think about what you don't do that's perfect that they probably think is, you know, is wrong. Like, you know, you probably chew a certain type of way, or you probably
Or
leave.
the type of coffee you make in the morning.
Yeah, or like, you
Mhm.
know, she always sprays this perfume that you do not like, but you know, you told her you don't like it, but she likes it. You know, there's, you know, nobody's perfect and everybody just likes different things. It's about more of accepting it rather than changing the fact that that's how they are. Now, if it's too much, then, you know, see if you know, y'all could work on it. But, you know, again, it's hard to work on something that somebody's been in the habit of doing for years on end, and or that's how they are as a person, if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, and kind of just like to jump in, right? Based off of my career, I will be moving around the world, like a whole lot, and I'll never have time just to sit back and be able to, you know, be home for when I have kids. You know, I'm gonna be missing a lot of important events for my kids. Eventually, when I have a wife, or if I ever decide to get a wife, um, whoever my significant other is, I'm gonna be missing a lot of the things for that. And so, you know, that isn't that is something that, you know, is going to that's been putting a lot of hardships on me trying to find somebody. But, you know, one thing I always thought about was I would rather it be that, um sorry about that, I'd rather it be that I know that the person can accept me for all the flaws that I will have and not try to change those, and can be accepting that the fact that I'm not going to always be able to be there for, you know, everything. So if hopefully that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah. But that kind of goes into another, that kind of loops back to the whole like living with each other beforehand. Like I know that you technically wouldn't be living with the person, but if like it's gonna probably be long distance from at some point. Like whoever you do find that you connect with and you start dating, whatever, they're gonna know that you're not around often. And gosh, that's actually kind of hard because like you wouldn't necessarily get the living with somebody before marriage part, because don't you have to be married to have the person like move with you in like military or
Yeah, and that's why, when you think about a lot of service members likes to travel a lot, and that's why, you know, a lot of us get married really really soon, with people that we have for a fact know that, you know, and a lot of times people can't take being away from their significant others, and they crack under pressure, either the
right?
people that's a service member or, you know, the spouse. So, you know, I won't be able to do it all the time. I won't be able to live with them 24/7, right? But it's not the fact that obviously you're gonna have to create kids somehow. That means you're gonna be home, and there's gonna be times where I'll be home for like a year or two at a time. There's gonna be times where they're able to come with me, but then there's a lot of times where that's not gonna happen, or that's not gonna work out, or and you know, a lot of things are more fast paced while you're in the military. So that's why when I think about my dating life and my just love life in general, me trying to find somebody who accepts me for all my flaws is the hardest thing to do.
You'd
Because
have to find someone that also is really good with change.
yes, because there's going to be a whole lot of change, and change happens constantly when you're in the military.
Right.
So, that's where, going back to the topic of the discussion of long-term dating versus getting married. If I was to long-term date, it was extremely less likely to work out versus me getting married and staying with that person for life, type of deal.
Right.
So when I think about marriage, that's automatically my goal. I do not plan on marrying just to break up. I don't care what happened. You can hit me with a fucking car. I'll be mad at you. I'm not going to sleep around or anything, but I'll come back a week later, be like, damn, you fucked up. But I
Am I
love
gonna
you.
disappear for a week?
Man, you hit me with a fucking car, bro. I'm going to my mama's house. Shit. But anyways, before I hop up out of here, one last thing. Love is not about sex, going on fancy dates, or showing off. It's about being with a person who makes you happy in a way that no one else can. And on that matter, I'm out. Love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Nice.
You too. All right, so
Bye.
kind of touching on what you said, I feel like um people, like you said, people have to be willing to accept change. It's like you were kind of saying, because I don't know, it kind of works on both ends. Like with you being in the military, at times you're going to be gone for a while and all of that. But one of the, I guess it's more so reassurance.
Yeah.
Communication is key, because you're going to be gone, and maybe somebody thinks, okay, he's going to be gone for the next 3 months. I'm fine with that. Then he'll be home for 2. Then he'll be gone for 5 or something. I mean, I know the schedules don't work out like that whatsoever. You might be gone for 2 months, and next thing you know, you're calling home like, hey, we got sent out immediate new orders, and we're going to be gone for the next 3 or 4. And it ends up being 6 months total or something like that. But it's always, I don't know. I know the military thing is a very, very difficult thing, because somebody might think that they're okay with you being gone for a while. And then the little bit of time you thought that you were going to be gone turns into way longer than what they thought. And they're like, hey, the majority of the year, I'm sitting here by myself. Like, I'm just completely here by myself. And I thought that I would be okay with this. And now I'm not. And the problem is, if you're working a job that requires you to be gone often like that, then okay, maybe you got a little bit more leeway. I might be able to quit this job, figure out, get a new position, or do something like that. But the problem with the military is there's really no option. You're at their mercy and on what they want you to do. And again, that person wholeheartedly walked into the relationship loving you completely, wanting to marry you, wanting to give you their all, and they're like, hey, I'm okay with this. I know they're in the military. I know I'm going to be able to do this. And eventually it just doesn't. It just doesn't work anymore. Not something on their own, not necessarily even something that you've done wrong, but they thought that they would be able to handle it, and now all of a sudden they can't, and it's not working anymore.
Yeah. And just speaking from somebody who's in the service, and one thing I've always found out was, you know, the spouse always feels that they can't wait sometimes. Like, I'm not saying everybody, but in general, there's a lot of spouses that feels like they can't wait. And I'm speaking from experience. Like, you're not the only person who feels like, they're alone when it comes to that relationship. We as people constantly need affection, and no matter what nobody says, no matter if they say they heartless, hard, or whatever, everybody needs affection. So especially people in the military, we go through and we deal with shit every day, and it's constantly trying to just work on it, work on it, work on it, work on it. And then we're focusing on trying to improve everything. And it's hard to really sit back and think about it, or sit back and be like, oh, I really need this person, or really do things here and there. We deal with a lot too, so it's just harder for us to deal with shit like this too. So it's not like they're alone in the matter. And I feel like a lot of people, when they get married in the services, need to understand that both of you guys are going through this too, and you're not alone in that matter. It's not like like I'm just sitting here like, oh, I don't miss her, or I don't, I can't wait to see my children. Like, I feel that exact same way too. So, that's kind of how I feel in that matter.
Damn, you should have a whole tea talk on just like military families.
Oh yeah, that
That's a whole other subject.
yeah, you're getting into Tuesday's Tea Talk. Tuesday's Tea
Yeah, there you
Talk.
go.
Yeah. Tuesday's Tea Talk was probably gonna be and by the way, I'm sorry I didn't introduce this is one of my best friends, Blue Gaming. He streams on Facebook and I believe Twitch, but I know for a fact Facebook. And yeah, I feel like he's very wise. He's a lot older than me, but you know, he has a lot of knowledge and everything to say. So please go and follow him and talk to him a lot. He's an interesting person. And also follow actually these three people. Follow Mello if you can put your Twitch in the chat, and Polyman and Blue. Just so people know who these people are. These are my good friends, and share the love to them too. Join the stream if you want to. But to kind of like segue into that, I feel that especially when it comes to, and this is kind of like, obviously we're getting towards the end of our little discussion on this. I feel that I feel that everybody needs to find out which one they prefer when it comes to getting married or long-term dating. And yes, so the end is near.
Again, like we talked about earlier, I just think one of the last things I want to kind of touch on is make sure that it's for the right reason. Because especially with, and I don't want to touch on, but it's that they have a bulk of a lot of the issues, and I don't want to touch on and start ruining it for the next one. But I guess it doesn't necessarily even apply for military people. It may apply for people in jail or anybody with a long-term situation, but make sure it's for the right reasons. I feel like a lot of people think, and again, we might be able to touch on it a lot more in depth and detail on the next one, but even in this one, I'm leaving to go to the military. I've had a girlfriend that I've had for the last 3 or 4 years. I know that, the job that I'm doing or the area that I'm getting sent to is a very, very dangerous one or whatever. Or hell, like I said, even, I just did something extremely crazy. I might be going to jail. So I need to get married to this person because I want to have kids and I want to get married. And it's like, that's not the right reasons. Like we were talking about, a lot of times it's rushed. People rush into it because I need to leave a legacy. I need to leave kids. I need to know that I have somebody waiting at home for me. And a lot of times it seems like for the other person, sometimes the decision, because they love you, that was made on your behalf was like rushed, and it was not for the right reason. It's because you felt like you needed to have somebody because you knew that you had this other event that was getting ready to come up and that was going to affect your life greatly. So you kind of convinced this person to get married to you more so for selfish reasons because you wanted to hurry up and get it done before this particular event came up. And it's kind of hard on the other person. That's why not only do you got to decide, if that's the way that you're going to be, but the other person really has to pay attention to, like, hey, what is this person's intentions? Is this true love? Do we truly love each other? And is the decision that the other person is making because they love me and they truly want to be with me, or what more do they have? I guess it kind of goes back to communication. You have to be open. You have to communicate tremendously. You have to communicate everything. You have to, just like they say, you become one. You have to know that other person, be in their head, know what they're thinking, know what they're feeling. It's a true connection. Marriage is an absolute true connection on another level.
Here's
So
a.
you
Go
go.
ahead. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Kind of like on a slightly different type of subject, but this involves marriage and relationships. Is if you know the person is right for you, and you know this is the person that you want to spend your whole life with, and the fact that if they're going through any type of like short-term, like emotional type of thing, you fell in love with that person because you know who they are. If people break up because of that little small emotional moment, then it just kind of messes with the vibe in a sense. Like if you found the right person and there's a hiccup in that person's emotional situation, that shouldn't dictate how your relationship is going to be couple months, years, 10 years, whatever it is. It's not going to dictate who they really are in the future. It's just they're just having a hard time. They're in their downs. So the biggest thing, like Blue saying, communication is tremendous. Communicating like what's going on, like trying to talk it out, figuring it out and everything. That's the biggest key to holding on to that like relationship, because there's a thing, me and Melo always talk about this. It's called twin flame. Twin flame is basically, it's like the yin and yang in a sense, where you're blue flame, the other person's red flame. It's basically one spirit that's split up, but basically you're basically on the same spirit length or thing.
We vibing.
Yeah.
But please tell me you're gonna have a tea talk about fucking spiritual stuff later on. But
Because I'm
I
down
guess
for that.
like closing ceremonies here, right?
Yeah. So like last things, and Thursday actually we could have the tea talk on spiritual.
Get fucking ready.
Okay.
But no, it's like I'll kind of keep my closing arguments short and sweet. I think bottom line, somebody needs to know themselves and know what they want before marriage. And that could be tomorrow, that could be 10 years from now. Doesn't really matter. Like it kind of just depends on the person. You can't expect anybody to love you if you don't love yourself. So
Okay.
Agreed.
Do you have any last remarks, Polly?
No. Just know that that person, your significant other, is always going to be there for you no matter what the situation is. When it comes down to marriage, long distance, long term relationships, it's basically know that if you found the right person and they know what they want, they're sticking to you like glue. Not regular glue, but like fucking crazy glue, like
Like Gorilla
the
Glue. Like Gorilla
fucking
Glue.
20k psi type of glue.
Yeah.
that's the dream.
Okay. Blue, you got any last remarks? And I'll just
Or
end it
semen.
off.
I mean, Gorilla Glue.
Yeah. So, like we all say, I mean, it's a combination of things. People always ask, what is the key to marriage? Oh, it's love, it's communication, it's whatever. It's a combination of a bunch of different things. And again, when you found that with the person, we can communicate all day long, but if I don't love you and I don't like to be around you, it doesn't work. And I can love you to death, but if you don't tell me things, I feel like I can't trust you and there's no loyalty there. It's a combination of things. Make sure you find somebody that you have all those things with, that I can trust that you're out doing what you said that you're doing, that you're loyal to me, and no matter if it's your parents or somebody who's talking crap about me, then you're going to defend me as my significant other and make sure that I'm okay. And then also love me unconditionally. You said, I want to be loved unconditionally with all of my flaws, with all of the, like Paulie said, the hiccups that I have, that problems that I didn't have yesterday, I'm having today, but I want to be reassured that now that I'm going through these problems, I'm not going through these problems yet. We're going through these problems together, and we're going to figure it out as a team. You will not leave from my side until we get these
these things figured out and vice versa. So I mean, just
Agreed.
be very, very well rounded in the relationship.
Ride or die.
Polyman, were you about to say something?
No, I agree with every point that Blue just gave out. It's just be straight up with the person, tell her how it is, and basically don't beat around the bush with the person that you love. Just be direct with them, but don't be direct to the point where it's gonna hurt the person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can be direct and tell somebody when they're wrong without hurting their feelings. You can tell somebody when they fuck something up or they're doing something that you're not liking without
It's hard
you being
sometimes.
mean about it or hurting their feelings.
Yeah, and then like kind of my final remarks on everything. Just again, I agree with all you guys, especially in Zoe who left the chat a little bit early, but and I kind of wanted to hear his final remarks a little bit better, but just going off of that, I see you. Can you type your final remarks in the chat? But I feel that there's a difference between loyalty and love, and there's a lot of things that people have misconceptions about in relationships. But I feel like, if we really sit there and try to work things out in relationships, and we really try to understand each other, and we really are doing it for love and like you guys saying, not for anything else, then that's really something that I feel like would improve a lot of relationships, would actually do things for the better instead of for the worse, if that makes sense to everybody. But yeah, that's kind of my final remarks on everything. We're not going to end stream because we're still moving into phasmophobia, right guys?
Hell yeah.
We might have a fourth also.
All right, that's good. So yeah, stream, I will be right back. I'm gonna talk to these guys just a little bit, you know, just thanking them and everything. So just give me a sec and we'll be right back with phasmophobia.